Alright, Shalom, Hebrews. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. Alright, Hebrews, I want to do this book on the prophet Hosea. You know what I'm saying? I want to do this video on the prophet Hosea. You know, I was just reading the book. And, man, it brought me to mind because I kind of know, you know, the timeline. And, you know, we had been on Egyptian religion for, when this prophet came with his message, we had been on Egyptian religion for 178 years. You know, 178 years is a long time, and then that's coming from when Jeroboam come out of Egypt with the Egyptian religion. Now, this is what should be noted, is that Jeroboam was from the tribe of Ephraim, and the tribe of Ephraim had more pull in northern kingdom. Matter of fact, they gonna be the leaders like of the northern kingdom, the monarchs and so forth. And you know, the leaders mostly come from the tribe of Ephraim, even though it will be, you know, different leaders from different tribes here and there throughout the northern kingdom's history, you know, before it was destroyed. And if you read the northern kingdom's history, man, you'll see that it was a bloodbath. A bloodbath and idol worship. Our ancestors just didn't do right. And if you read about the northern kingdom's history, man, you'll see that, man, they was on Egyptian religion and we was unfaithful to Almighty Yah. And the book of Hosea give you a description of the mentality in, you know, the things that we was doing and so forth. Now, this is what got to be noted, is that the tribe of Ephraim has a long Egyptian connection. You know, Ephraim kept a Egyptian connection after we exodus Egypt, as can be shown in the book of Hosea. And you know, keeping the Egyptian connection wasn't a good thing after Prophet Moses told us not to deal with the Egyptians anymore and that we wouldn't go back that way. But you know, the tribe of Ephraim had an affinity with the Egyptians. You know, they was, you know, Ephraim's mother was an Egyptian, and they granddaddy was the priest of On, Pontifori, you know, over the Queen of Heaven, a religious system that we Israelites succumbed to, that we lost our covenant and our heritage in our land. But I want to read the book of Hosea, and then I'm going to explain a little history as, you know, I read it. But this is what should be noticed, is that you see, look, 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 from Jeroboam, look, the whole kingdom, you know what I'm saying, we united under Saul, King David, King Solomon. We know that King Solomon broke bad and didn't do right in the end, and that caused the kingdom to split. And then that his son Rehoboam, couldn't hold it down. He couldn't hold it down. He couldn't hold it down, and the kingdom split. Look, the kingdom split, and when the kingdom split, you know, 10 tribes, you know, the tribes that was in the north, man, decided to do their own thing, which was a bad thing, is because, you know, when they decided to do their own thing, is that they was deciding to do Egyptian religion. You know, we couldn't never let it go. The tribe of Ephraim couldn't let it go. Look, alright, this is the name. So, you know, the northern kingdom will mostly start from Samaria right there, be, you know, starting the northern kingdom, and we see that that's going to be kind of like in Ephraim's territory. So, you know, it would make sense that Ephraim would be the most active Israelite because they held control of Samaria. You see where it's at, and Samaria was a bad place. And I could show in our history, especially in the book of Ezekiel, where he, compared, Samaria to, whoredom and so forth. And then that's how we Israelites were characterized by the Creator. Man is being harlots, couldn't be faithful to him, and how we would rather worship false gods that can't save and so forth. We Israelites were messed up, but it's going to come from the tribe of Ephraim, after the split, when we split and Jeroboam brung and put that Egyptian religion on us. I got plenty of videos explaining it, but I feel like explaining it again. So we see that Ephraim and Samaria is right there, and then Ephraim, look, Samaria is gonna be in between the half tribe Manasseh and Ephraim. So we know that the half tribe of Manasseh was part of the fighting tribes, Gad, Reuben, and Manasseh got us basically our land and was on the east side of the Jordan too, and was holding it down and was in the most dangerous parts, men of our heritage and so forth. And the Egyptians got them because they would be trying to protect the northern kingdom's Egyptian religion when we split from Yah worship and decided to do the Egyptian religion on the promised land, which caused us to get kicked out. I think 209, well, what I'm saying, I'm going to do the calculation right. But, what I'm saying, we got kicked out the promised land because of the Egyptian religion that we decided to do when the kingdom split. And then we would go back into Egypt as the book of Hosea would say, and this would be like, let me add it up. All right, we know that from when prophet Hosea gave his message, it's gonna be 753 BCE. All right, 753 BCE. And then we went into Africa about 588 BCE to do the Egyptian religion, and then let's see, 165 years. Look, 100, man, I don't know what happened. No. Look, 165 years. 165 years, man, before we was driven off the land from when this prophet gave his message and we went into Egypt. So you got to understand that when you're reading about the book of Hosea, that them prophecies come to pass in the book of Jeremiah, because the northern kingdom was still around after the so-called Assyrian captivity. What the Assyrians would do is that they would take the Israelites that was protecting the Egyptian religion that was off into a station in other tribes. Man, we would have garrisons and armies, all over in the northern kingdom and so forth, and so, the tribe of Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh would be in, they would be in Naphtali's heritage. They would be in, they would be, let's see, they would be in Zebulun's heritage. They would be, especially in Naphtali's heritage and Issachar heritage. The fighters for the northern kingdom was Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh. And I'm gonna show this real quick. All right, let's go to I think it's First Chronicles. I think First Chronicles 5. Let's see. We're going to find it. Shalom to the Israelite community. We're going to get it together, but we got to understand what's going on first. You know what I'm saying? In order to get it together. And our history is easily to understand. If you understand dates and timeline, gonna be real important, because then you can search around in history and kind of get an understanding of what was going on in the world. And if you do that, you'll see that the Israelite heritage is kind of like been connected to a lot of things in history. But you see right here, look, in the Elohim. All right, no, let's go right here. Look, this is First Chronicles 5:18. Look, the sons of Reuben and the Gadites and the half tribe of Manasseh of valiant men able to bear buckler and sword and to shoot with bow and skillful in war were 440,703 score that went out to war. Now they gonna be stationed. They gonna be stationed everywhere. So sometimes when it says that they took Israel from Naphtali, it's not necessarily talking about the regular people, man. It's more or less gonna be them 40,000 some soldiers, probably more than that, because that was almost like close to Exodus time and so forth, and that them individuals had got some more descendants and so forth. But look here, they gonna be everywhere. Look, you see, they gonna really be, close to Syria and so forth, because we had a lot of problems with Syria and the Assyrians and so forth. So, those fighting tribes that went out to war gonna be stationed in different parts of the northern kingdom and so forth. So sometimes when they say that they took Israel from Naphtali, just know for sure that it's more or less talking about these soldiers and so forth. That's who the Syrians wanted. They wanted our soldiers. And then I made a video showing how the Assyrians really need us, and how we was really meant together on a lot of the things. And then it was like a slick race war going on during the Syrian times. They keeping that out of world history, where the non-pigmented people rose up and got tired of being beat down by the Assyrians, some pigmented folks. And then, the Syrians would come get us, men, to try to help them stop them folks from coming, out of the north and so forth. The Ashkenazi under the name Scythian and all the other folks associated with Babylon and so forth, that was trying to get in there and get educated and so forth. Assyria controlled Babylon also, and Assyria would be, man, around these parts. Man, around these parts. This is where Syria was and so forth. Man, around these parts. And this is where Ashkenazi, under the name Scythian, hung out at, as well as the other Japhetic tribes and so forth that Assyria was putting under yoke, because they would all be trying to get into Babylon. Even some folks from the east and so forth. The Assyrians had them under bondage. And then when they rose up and start, rebelling against the Assyrians, because the Assyrians had started taking credit for what they was doing to us. We would hire them and to to fight. We would hire Syria, and I think the Judah was fooling with the Assyrians, and that how that we would use them to help in our civil wars when we was fighting, but all that's gonna come from the Egyptian religion destroying us as a people, because it was in the northern kingdom. And look, all the kings, look bad, even though some of them called on Yah, but they still associated Yah and had the Egyptian and Canaanite, Babylonian religions and stuff in the land, and how that the northern kingdom just wasn't 100% Yah worshippers. Alright. Alright, let's do some of this. So we see, look, now let me show you that the northern kingdom that was protected by Manasseh, Manasseh, Gad, and Reuben would be the fighters. Look, all right, when you go to First Chronicles in 5:26, and the Elohim of Israel stirred up the spirit of Paul, king of Assyria, and the spirit of Talconnazar, king of Assyria, and he carried them away, even the Reubenites and the Gadites and the half-tribe of Manasseh, and brought them unto Hala and Hara, unto the river Gonzana to this day. See, they gonna be stationed in different parts of the northern kingdom and so forth, trying to protect the Egyptian religion that Jeroboam brung out of Egypt, that was from the tribe, that he was from the tribe of Ephraim. So we know that the tribe of Ephraim held control of Samaria, because that's going to be in between Manasseh and Ephraim. Samaria was the capital. And you know, man, let me show you how Samaria was messed up from the Jeroboam religion that he brought out of Egypt. And then I'm going to show his connection to the Egyptians being from the tribe of Ephraim. So when the prophet Hosea was speaking, you know, it was a lot of rulers from the tribe of Ephraim, or that Samaria was in Ephraim's control, and they gonna be like the most dominant tribe besides the tribe of Judah. The tribe of Ephraim gonna be mentioned more than any other tribe besides Judah in Tanakh history, and they gonna be the most active tribe. And man, they wasn't right. In the book of Hosea explained the you know what I'm saying, what we was going through. You know, the tribe of Ephraim and its rulers and leaders and so forth. But let's show what I said that I was gonna show. Then let's show the let's go to Genesis. Let's go to Genesis, and then we gonna see, and then let's go to Genesis 42. Genesis 42, and we gonna see what it say. And I can read it out the Tanakh of the King James Version. Sometimes I prefer the Tanakh over a lot of the verses in the King James, because when you read it, man, it's gonna be a little more powerful and a little more stronger. And it's like the King James version of our history is a watered down version of our history, which it is, because it kind of leads to demigod worship and so forth. You know how they translated the few verses here and there trying to support demigod worship, like in the book of Isaiah. All right, so let's go to that'll be Genesis 41. Let's see what Genesis 41. Genesis 41. All right, and then when you get down to 44, let's see this. Look. Pharaoh then gave Joseph the name Zappaneth Paneah, and he gave him for a wife Asenath, daughter of Potipharah, priest of On. This Joseph, you know what I'm saying? So look, him having his father-in-law as the priest of On is a terrible thing, because that priest is over the Queen of Heaven religious system that we eventually broke covenant for. So, you know, I got in my videos that how that Pharaoh seen that we was finna be over here in the promised land with a different form of worship, because Pharaoh don't know that Joseph didn't believe in the Egyptian gods and so forth, and that it's more of them in Canaan. So, me and Pharaoh gonna take that opportunity to kind of like throw things off, throw a wrench in the wheel, for the future purpose of throwing us off, and it worked, because when Joseph was given Asenath, and then he had those two children by her in Manasseh and Ephraim, and that they granddaddy was over the Egyptian religion system, and then it was easy for their tribe to have association with Egypt, which was a bad thing for us Israelites. It was a terrible thing for us Israelites. It cost us our heritage, our land, and everything. Look, all right, this would be Genesis 41. Before the years of famine came, Joseph became the father of two sons, whom Asenath, daughter of Potipharah, priest of On, bore to him. Joseph named the first born Manasseh, meaning Yah has made me forget completely my hardship and my parents are home. And in the second, he named Ephraim, meaning Yah has made me fertile in the land of my affliction. You see, then he had two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. Now we know that Jeroboam was from the tribe of Ephraim. I got a video explaining that the Ephrathites were kind of like a mixture of Ephraim and Judites, leaning more on the Ephraim heritage and so forth. So, we see that Pharaoh gave Joseph Asenath, and that Asenath was the priest of On daughter, and that they had two sons, and Manasseh and Ephraim. And we can see that when our kingdom split, and Jeroboam was chased into Egypt, and the kingdom split, and that how did he preferred Egyptian religion. I say that was a strategic move from Pharaoh from long time ago, before we even got in bondage in Egypt, that Pharaoh was trying to doom us. I'm gonna read some of the book of Hosea, was my main purpose. All right, let me see. All right, let's go to Kings, and establish Jeroboam being from the tribe of Ephraim, and then him putting the Egyptian religion on us, and then when Prophet Hosea come around 178 years later, after what Jeroboam had did to us and put that evil Egyptian religion on us, is that you have that history in the book of Hosea, and I'm gonna go into some of it. All right, let's go to that'll be First Kings, I think. First Kings, when we dealing with Jeroboam and what Solomon did and so forth. All right. In Jeroboam, this First Kings 11:26. In Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, an Ephrathite. That's the tribe of Ephraim in a little Judite mixture of Zerah, Solomon's servant, whose mother name was Zurah, a widow. Even he lifted up his hand against the king, and this was the cause that he lifted up his hand against the king. Solomon built Milo and repaired the breaches of the city of David, his servant, and the men of Jeroboam was the mighty men of value. And then y'all remember me showing you that the different fighting tribes could be, some area in our heritage. And then when they talk about that they took Israel, that they just not necessarily talking about the people that stayed there, because I could show that after the so-called Assyrian captivity in 722 with the Assyrians, that the Israelites were still on their heritage and still there, and that the Assyrians more or less took the soldiers that was protecting the Egyptian religion, because Samaria was in between Manasseh and Ephraim's territory, and we know that Manasseh and Ephraim foreparents were the priest of own the Egyptian religion, and we know that Jeroboam brought the Egyptian religion out on us from Egypt, and I'm gonna show this. All right, so after you read 1 Kings 11, and then you see that Jeroboam and Rehoboam, Solomon's son, ain't getting along and so forth, and how Jeroboam had them Africans come out and rob Rehoboam. So he got jacked, and they took his gold and so forth. But here go Jeroboam putting in Egyptian religion on us. And when you go to 1 Kings, whereupon the king took counsel and made 2 calves of gold, and said unto them, It is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Behold thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And he set the one in Bethel and the other in Dan. Alright, so he's sitting in Bethel. And let's look and see where Bethel at, because I can show that Samaria, man, was messed up and wasn't in a good place because of the Egyptian worship and so forth. But let's see what Bethel at. Bethel gonna be, man, that's gonna be in Ephraim's territory too. I had a map with Bethel on it. Let's see. Bethel. Where that map at? Alright, well, I'm gonna just read this. Let's see what he say about about Samaria, because that was really the bad place. Alright, so we know that he put the golden calves in Bethel and in Dan. Alright, but when you go to Ezekiel, this would be 200 some years later, and then you get to verse 23. Bethel kind of like got destroyed and got took over by those Assyrians, placing them them Babylonian scribes, the Sephardims, the Sephardims in our heritage. They would be men in Bethel. All right, look, when you go to Ezekiel 23. And the word of Elohim came again unto me, saying, Son of man, there were 2 women, the daughter of one mother, and they committed whoredoms in Egypt. They committed whoredoms in their youth. There were their breasts pressed, and there they bruised the tents of their virginity. In the name of them were Ahala the elder, and Arbala her sister, and they were mad, and they bore sons and daughters. This were their names. Samaria is Ahala, and Jerusalem is Obala. Alright. Then let's get to reading some of this Hosea history, which was the purpose. And then, remember that the northern kingdom was controlled and set up by the tribe of Ephraim, and they gonna be the fighters and the go-getters and so forth. So in 753 BC, when this prophet was dealing with them, this is the message that he had gave. And then let's get into it. Alright, so when we see Hosea right here, alright, this is in 753 BCE. The word of Elohim came to Hosea, son of Beeri, in the reign of kings Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah of Judah, and in the reign of King Jeroboam, son of Joash. Now let's look and see where this prophet was come about. And you see in Uzziah, look, so he gonna be up around about these parts, you know what I'm saying? And look, you see Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah. Alright, and then we go over here and look from 760. Alright, we're gonna see this prophet. These are the prophets that's mostly dealing with the Israelites: Jonah, Amos, and Hosea, Elisha, Elijah, and Micah, and Elijah. Alright, but we see that that really Almighty Yah had told Jehu that he would have some descendants on the throne, man, for 3 or 4 generations and so forth. And then after that come to pass, it was bloodbath, man. You know what I'm saying? The whole northern kingdom was a bloodbath, and that they didn't hold to the covenant because they was on Egyptian religion, and this where all our violence and all our everything comes from. You know, that we didn't, do right and so forth. All right, look, let's see. All right, so we see Hosea is, right up in here. All right, he mostly gonna be dealing with Joash, Jeroboam II, and so forth. All right, let's get in. Look at this. Get in this thing. All right. The word of the Elohim that came to Hosea, son of Beeri, in the reigns of King Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah of Judah, and in the reign of King Jeroboam, son of Joash of Israel. And then it's a thing, because when you read King Hezekiah history, you get in 2 Chronicles 30, you're going to see that the tribes are still there, are still at home and so forth. So it's real important to read King Hezekiah's history. All right, when the Elohim first spoke to Hosea, the Elohim said to Hosea, "Go get yourself a wife of whoredom and children of whoredom." Now, not too long after this, maybe 20 years at the most, maybe 15 years at the most, that prophet Isaiah was told to go get a virgin and take her, you know what I'm saying, the wife, and have a son about her, and they gonna pull that demigod story out of that message and so forth. But here go, the prophet was told to go take a whore for a wife and so forth. All right. When the Elohim first spoke to Hosea, Elohim said to Hosea, "Go get yourself a wife of whoredom and children of whoredom, for the land will stray from following the Elohim." So he went and married Gomer, daughter of Dablin. She conceived and bore him a son, and the Elohim instructed him, "Name him Jezreel, for I will soon punish the house of Jehu for the bloody deeds of Jezreel, and put an end to the monarchy of the house of Israel. In that day I will break the bow of Israel in the valley of Jezreel." And then that happened. Now let's look up here, man, and see who Jehu is. There go Jehu. And look who's under his watch. Hosea. See what I'm saying? Alright. "I will break the bow of Israel in the valley of Jezreel." And he broke the monarchs, took the leaders and all them off. They got snatched up and took to Assyria. Alright. She conceived again and bore a daughter, and he said to him, "Name her Lee Ruma, for I will no longer accept the house of Israel or pardon them, but I will accept the house of Judah, and I will give them victory through their Yah. I will not give them victory with bow and sword and battle by horse and riders. And waning lo Romeo she conceived and bore a son. Then he said, name him Lo Ami, for you are not my people, and I will not be your Yah. Because them folks in the northern kingdom look, you see, all bad. All bad. All this gonna lead to us being kicked out the promised land, kind of like what Pharaoh kind of like had the strategic move to put down on us when he gave Joseph Asenath, and then she had those two sons that the tribe of Ephraim kept an Egyptian connection. And let me establish that too. Let me establish that. Go to Hosea 12. I'm going to read a whole bunch of these chapters so we can kind of, understand, what was going down. But look, Ephraim chapter 12, Hosea. Ephraim surrounds me with deceit, the house of Israel with gall. But Judah stands firm with Yah and is faithful to the Holy One. Ephraim tends the wind and pursues the gale. He is forever adding illusions to calamity. Now they make a covenant with Assyria, and now all is carried into Egypt. Now we know that Jeroboam went to Egypt and he had an Egyptian connection, and that the Egyptians gonna be in tune with the tribe of Ephraim. They taking all from, Assyria to Egypt, and Egypt to Assyria right there. You see that? Alright. Pharaoh gonna be smart by giving Joseph Asenath, knowing she gonna have them kids, and then they gonna keep an Egyptian connection, and then that Egyptian connection eventually destroyed us to the captivity and lack of knowledge of heritage that we have today as a people. Alright, so we see that, Almighty Yah said that they wasn't gonna be his people back then. So you got to remember that when he said that everybody was bad, all the leaders, and we done seen when he said he was gonna take the monarch away, and then that happened after Prophet Hosea gave his message. Man, and that happened, I think 20 years later. Let's see, from 753 BC to 722. 31 years. 31 years. 31 years it was over with for the northern kingdom's rulership and Almighty Yah backing them in any kind of way. And that was start to get the curses started get it good, and started when the northern kingdom was chased out the land and so forth. And the northern kingdom didn't go into no 10 lost tribe Assyrian captivity, because I'm gonna show. Look, you see, King Hezekiah, as Hosea was dealing with, that the tribes were still at home, and like I said, that the Assyrians more or less took our fighters and so forth that was protecting the Egyptian religion. They gonna be the monarch. The monarch gonna be backing them, as the scriptures say, and putting an end to the monarchy of the house of Israel. They gonna have some soldiers. Look, and I will look and put an end to the monarchy of the house of Israel. You see that? And then that happened 31 years later. 31 years later, it was over with. So we seeing that prophecy. We know that prophecy come to pass. They ain't gonna talk about it. Our enemies ain't gonna talk about no real Israelite history. And the camps ain't either, because they don't know. Alright? Alright. The number of people of Israel shall be like that of the sands of the sea, which cannot be measured or counted, and instead of being told, ye are not my people, they shall be called children of the living Yah. The people of Judah and the people of Israel shall assemble together and appoint one head over them, and they shall rise from the ground. For marvelous shall be the day of Jezreel. O call your brothers my people, and your sisters lovingly accepted. Rebuke your mother and rebuke her, for she is not my wife, and I am not her husband. And let her put away her harlotry from her face, and her adultery from between her breasts. Else will I strip her naked and leave her as on the day she was born, and I will make her like a wilderness and render her like the desert and let her die of thirst. I will also disown her children, for they are now a harlot's brood, in that their mother has played the harlot. She that conceived them has acted shamelessly, because she thought I would go after my lovers, who supply my bread and my water, my wool and my linen, my oil and my drink. Assuredly, see, that's going to be Assyria. That's going to be Assyria and Egypt. You know, I just showed how the tribe of Ephraim went from Assyria to Egypt. All right. Let me just get it. All right. Let me see. All right. Assuredly, I will hedge up her roads with thorns and raise walls against her, and she shall not find her path. Now, remember, all this was said, man, before the destruction came in 722 BCE. All right. Men pursue her lovers as she will, she shall not overtake them, and seek them as she may, she shall never find them. Then she will say, I will go and return to my first husband, for then I fared better than now. See, that's what the Israelites would do after they worship the false gods and stuff, and then see that ain't no good fortune with it. Then we'll want to turn back to Almighty Yah. That's evilness. That's evilness. And the Israelites are like that right now today. Look, to my first husband, for then I fared better than now. And she did not consider this. It was I who bestowed on her the new grain and wine and oil. I who lavished her silver on her gold, which they used for Baal. You know what I'm saying? That's messed up. Surely I will take back my new grain in its time, and my new wine in its seasons, and I will snatch away my wool and my linen that served to cover her nakedness. Now I will uncover her shame in the very sight of her lovers, and none shall save her from me. And the Assyrians and the Egyptians couldn't help us in our end. They was destroyed also for fooling with Almighty Yah and his law and covenant. Look, and it will end all rejoicing. Her festivals, new moons and Sabbaths, all her festive seasons. I will lay waste her vines, her fig trees, which she think are a fee. She receives from her lovers. I will turn from her brushwood. Beasts of the field shall devour them. This will I punish her for the days of Balaam, O which she brought them offering with deck, with earrings and jewels. So would go after her lovers and forget me. That's the same as the Israelites do in the churches and so forth. You know, when they go, worship there, they get all dressed up and they ain't thinking about Almighty Yah. Our folks ain't been thinking about Almighty Yah for 2,800 years. Them the folks would come and get us out the land. Them the folks that he was calling to get us. They hadn't made it yet, but they was going to destroy Assyria in 612 BC, and they did. And then they came and got us up off the promised land. So what Prophet Hosea was saying eventually come to pass, because the northern kingdom had corrupted the tribe of Judah. And we all went into Africa to do the Egyptian religion. No lost tribes. All right. Surely I will speak coaxingly to her and lead her through the wilderness, and speak to her tenderly, and I will give her vineyards from there in the valley of Archer as a plowland and hope. There she shall respond in the days of her youth, when she come up from the land of Egypt in that day. Yeah, see, we in that Egypt now. Remember, part of the curses was being taken to Egypt in ships and so forth. And I show a lot of Egyptian monuments and so forth still hanging around. Matter of fact, one of these monuments, Egyptian monuments, me and they brung over here uh, uh, from Egypt was part of our captivity when we was in the promised land. When we was in Egypt in the promised land, that they brung obelisk over here. That's right here, called the Cleopatra needle. You know, they brung this over, and this was from the priest of On. Look, Hebrews is 3 obelisks bring from Egypt. One of them from a spot we broke covenant at on Heliopolis, Egypt. Obelisks have been re-erected elsewhere. The pair of 21, you know what I'm saying? But it goes on. You know, they call it they call it the Cleopatra needle or something like that. But they call it the Cleopatra needle. But this Pacific obelisk come from on where we broke covenant, you know, Heliopolis, and that's where the Egyptian religion at. Well, they got this in Central Park. Man, that's in Central Park. So we was taken to Egypt in ships, just like the Creator said. All right, there shall there she shall respond in the days of her youth, when she come up from the land of Egypt. And in that day declares to Elohim, you will call me Ishi, and no more will you call me Bali. For I will remove the name of the Balaam from her mouth, and they shall never more be mentioned by name. In that day I will make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field, the birds of the air, and the creeping things of the ground. And I will also banish bow, sword, and war from the land. This will I let them lie down in safety. I'm talking about after we have been punished and we come back home, Almighty y'all gonna make it right for us. You know, this prophecy coincide with the prophecies in the book of Isaiah, man, about our end and so forth. All right, I will espouse you forever. I will espouse you with righteousness and justice, and with goodness and mercy, and I will espouse you with faithfulness. Then ye shall be devoted to the Elohim. In that day I will respond, declares the Elohim. I will respond to the sky, and it shall respond to the earth, and the earth shall respond to the new grain, and the new oil, and the new wine, and they shall respond to Jezreel. I will sow her in the land as my own, and take Lo Rumi back in favor, and I will say to Lo Ami, you are my people, and he will respond, you are my Yah. You know, after we have been through the tribulations and then seen that the false gods that our enemies put on us is worthless, then we'll come back to Yah, and he gonna accept us. That's like now, if you just now coming into your Israelite heritage and you believed in Jesus or the demigods and you let that stuff go, Almighty y'all gonna accept you. He's gonna accept you. Look, the Elohim said to me, go befriend a woman while befriended by a companion. Consort with others just as the Elohim befriends the Israelites. But they turned to other gods and loved the cups of the grapes. Then I hired her for 15 shekels of silver, a home of barley, and then she got a man. You know what I'm saying? I already look. And lectured of barley, and I stipulated with her, in return, you are to go a long time without either fornicating or marrying. Even I shall not cohabit with you, for the Israelites shall go a long time without king, and without officials, and without sacrifice, and without coat pillars, and without ephod, and without tefillin. Afterward, the Israelites will turn back and will seek the Yah their father and David their king, and they will thrill over the Elohim and over his bounty in the days to come. And we know that that never happened, because 209 years later We was kicked out the land, all of us. So all this is gonna come to pass. Look, hear the word of the Elohim, O people of Israel. For the Elohim has a case against the inhabitants of this land, because there is no honesty and no goodness, and no obedience to Yah in the land. False swearing, dishonesty, and murder, theft, and adultery are a rift. Crime follows upon crime. For that the earth is withered, everything that dwells on it languish. Beasts of the field and the birds of the sky, even the fish of the sea perish. And that's the way that it is now, with the violence and the corruption and the evilness in our community. And we see consequently to us gravitating towards our enemy violent culture. I mean, look at society in the way that the world is today. It's just like you say, the fishes, the animals, everybody suffering. And everybody suffer when the Israelites don't do right or try to hold a covenant that'll get the earth a light. Get the earth a light. Look, let no man rebuke, let no man protest, for this your people has a grievance against you, O priests. So you shall stumble by day, and by night a prophet shall stumble as well, and I will destroy your kindred. My people is destroyed because of your disobedience, because you have rejected obedience. I reject you as my priest. And that's like now, man, we don't have no priests, and anybody calling themselves a priest, man, it's kind of like delusional, because that was an institution that we had in the promised land under the covenant. So all these priests and with the Catholic Church and all that other stuff, these Israelites calling themselves priests is bogus, real bogus. Look, because you have rejected obedience, I reject you as my priest. Because you have spurned the teachings of your Yah, I in turn will spurn your children. The more they increase, the more they sin against me. I will change their dignity and dishonor. Dishonor, they feed on my people's sin offerings, and so they desire its iniquity. Therefore the people shall fare like the priests. I will punish it for the conduct. I will require it for its deeds. Truly they shall eat, but not be sated. They shall swell, but not be satisfied, because they have forsaken the Elohim to practice lechery. Wine and new wine destroyed the man of my people. It consults and stick, it rod directs it. A lecherous impulse has made them go wrong, and they have strayed from submission to their Yah. They sacrifice on the mountaintop, off on the hills, under oaks, poplars, tabernates, woes, shades is so pleasant. That is why their daughters fornicate, and their daughters-in-law commit adultery. I will not punish their daughters for fornicating, nor their daughters-in-law for fornicating adultery, for they themselves turn aside with whores and sacrifice with prostitutes, and a people that is without sense must stumble. If you are a leecher of Israel, let not Judah incur guilt. Do not come to Gilgal. Do not make pilgrimage to Bethlehem, and do not swear by the Elohim. All Israel has balked like a stubborn cow, therefore the Elohim will graze him. Oh, the rage like a sheep. Ephraim is addicted to images. Let him be. They drink to excess. Their liquor turns against him. They love beyond measure. Disgrace is the gift which the wind is bringing. They shall garner shame from their sacrifices. Hear this, O priest, attend, O house of Israel. Give ear, O royal house, for the right conduct is your responsibility. But you have been a snare to Mespah, and a net spread out over Tabar. For what trappers dug deep pitfalls, I was the only reproof of them all. Yes, I have washed Ephraim. Israel has not escaped my notice. Behold, you have fornicated, O Ephraim, Israel has defiled himself. Their habits do not let them turn back to their Yah because of the lecherous impulse within them. They pay no heed to the Elohim. Israel's pride shall be humbled before his very eye. As Israel and Ephraim fall because of their sins, and Judah falls with them, then they will go with their sheep and cattle to seek the Elohim, but they will not find him. You remember, I just made a video showing that Almighty Yah said he gonna turn his face from us. He gonna turn his face from us. And that's what happened during the Babylonian wars that allowed us to get chased out the land. But if you keep reading the book of Hosea, you're going to see that the tribe of Ephraim was the most active tribe, as you can see in Tanakh history, with reading about the kings and so forth, and how the tribe of Ephraim name is constantly mentioned. That during Hosea time is going to be the prime highlighted time of the tribe of Ephraim, and man, it brought us down. It brought us down. All right. Let me read some more. All right. He has cast them off because they have broken faith with the Elohim, because they have begotten alien children. Therefore the new moon shall devour their portion. Sound ram's horn in Gabar, a trump in Ramah. Give the alarm in Beth-Haven. After you, Benjamin, Ephraim is stricken with horror on a day of chastisement. Against the tribes of Israel, I proclaim certainties. The officers of Judah have acted like ships of field boundaries. On them I will pour out my wrath like water. Ephraim is defrauded, robbed of redress, because he has willingly gone after futility. For it is I who like rock to Ephraim, like decay to the house of Judah. Yet when Ephraim become aware of his sickness, Judah of his sores, Ephraim repaired to Assyria. He sent envoys to a patron king. He will never be able to cure you, will not heal you or your sores, nor will I be like a lion to Ephraim, like a great beast to the house of Judah. I will attack and stride away, carry the prey that no one can rescue. I will return to my Abba till they realize their guilt. In their distress they will seek me and beg for my favor. I'm on Hosea 6. Come, let us turn back to the Elohim. He attacked and he come heal us. He wounded and he can bind us up. In 2 days he can make us whole again. On the 3rd day he will rise us up, and we shall be whole by his favor. Let us pursue obedience to the Elohim. He will, and we shall become obedient. His appearance is as sure as daybreak, and he will come to us like rain, like latter rain that refreshes the earth. What can I do for you, Ephraim? What can I do for you, Judah? When your goodness is like morning clouds, like a dew so early gone. When your goodness is like morning clouds and your dew is early gone, that it is why I have hewn down the prophets, have slain them with the words of my mouth, in the day that dawn brought on your punishment. For I desire goodness, not sacrifice, obedience to Yah rather than burnt offerings. But they to a man have transgressed the covenant. This is where they have been false to me. Gilead is a city of evildoers, tracked up with blood. The gang of priests is like the applicants of bandits who murder on the road to Shittim, for they have encouraged depravity in the house of Israel. I have seen a horrible thing. Ephraim has fornicated there. If Israel has defiled himself, even Judah has reaped a harvest of you. All right, meaning as you go on and read, man, it talks bad about the northern kingdom, the monarchs, the leaders, that, wasn't doing Yah worship, but that was doing Egyptian worship. Look, when they present sacrifice to me, it is but flesh for them to eat. The Elohim has not accepted them. Behold, he remembers their iniquity. He will punish their sins. Back to Egypt with them. Israel has ignored his maker and built temples, and Judah has fortified many cities. So I will set fire to his cities, and he shall consume their fortress. Alright, the Ashkenazi came, the Babylonians. They destroyed Assyria and then come got us up off the land because of the Egyptian religion. You know, this is Hosea 9. Rejoice not, O Israel, as other people exalt, for you have strayed away from your Yah. You have loved a harlot's fee. By every threshing floor of new grain, threshing floor of winepress shall not join them, and the new wine shall betray her. They shall not be able to remain in the land of the Elohim, but Ephraim shall return to Egypt, and shall eat unclean food in Assyria. It shall be for them like food mourners, all who partake which are defiled. They will offer no libations of wine to the Elohim. No sacrifice of theirs will be pleasing to him, for their food will be only for the hunger. It shall not come into the house of the Elohim. What you do about feast days, about the festivals of the Elohim, behold, they have gone from destruction. Now that the walls are broken up, he feels his guilt. But as you read and finish reading and just keep reading all the way to the end, and then remembering that all this was during this time. Look, Hosea, look, all bad kings. All bad kings, man. I'm talking about all bad leaders, all bad leaders, all bad leaders, all bad leaders, man. So, you know, we was doomed to get kicked off the land. But let me show y'all, like I said that I was going to do. If you go to 2 Chronicles 30, 2 Chronicles 30, you're going to see that the tribes of Israel still there under King Hezekiah's time and stuff, and how they still there under King Hezekiah's time, which was in 715 BC when he come on. Look, 715, 716, but you know 715. All right, and look, we see Prophet Hosea was still around when Hezekiah came on the throne. And then as you read 2 Chronicles 30, Hezekiah sent word, 2 Chronicles 30, Hezekiah sent word to all Israel and Judah. He also wrote letters to Ephraim and Manasseh to come to the house of the Elohim in Judah. Now, remember, the prophet Hosea just condemning the tribes of Ephraim, men, for their wickedness and so forth, and not being right. And then we know that the tribe of Judah was the last of the Yah worshippers' stronghold and so forth. Alright, and King Hezekiah was one of those. Alright, see, that's why you got the good kings. Look, good king. Look, he was a good king. Alright, this is 2 Chronicles 30, just to show you that it wasn't no 10 lost tribes after the northern kingdom was defeated and the monarchs, the leaders destroyed, that the tribes were still around. In 2 Chronicles 30, I'll show this. Hezekiah sent word to all Israel and Judah. He also wrote letters to Ephraim and Manasseh to come to the house of the Elohim, in Jerusalem, to keep the Passover for the Elohim Yah of Israel. The king of his officers and the congregation in Jerusalem had agreed to keep the Passover in the second month. Now, remember, Jeroboam, almost 200 something years before, didn't want them to go to Jerusalem, but they was having such terrible problems with the Assyrians and so forth, that they seen that false god worship that Jeroboam brung out wasn't no good, that everybody started turning towards King Hezekiah. The northern kingdom did. But it was kind of like too late, because after King Hezekiah's grandson, King Josiah, cleaned up the land, that we went back to Egyptian worship and went into Egypt, like the book of Hosea said that we would do, and eventually do. All right. The king and his officers and the congregation in Jerusalem had agreed to keep the Passover in the second month, for at that time they were unable to keep it, for not enough priests had sanctified themselves, nor had the people assembled in Jerusalem. The king and the whole congregation thought it proper to issue a decree and proclaim throughout all Israel, from Beersheba to Dan. Look, from Beersheba to Dan. Let's see what Beersheba to Dan is. All right. From Beersheba to Dan, he done sent the notice. All right. All right, look, we see Beersheba right there. And he sent the notice all the way to Dan. All the way to Dan. All right. The king and the whole congregation thought it proper to issue a decree and proclaim throughout all Israel, from Beersheba to Dan, that they come and keep the Passover for the Elohim Yah in Jerusalem. Not often did they act in accordance with what was written. The carriers went out with the letters from the king and his officers throughout all Israel and Judah, by order of the king, proclaiming, O ye Israelites, look, O ye Israelites, return to the Elohim Yah of your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, and he will return to the remain of you who are escaped from the hands of the kings of Assyria. So those Israelites would escape the hands of the kings of Syria. As I explained, that they would only want the soldiers and so forth that was protecting the northern kingdom's Egyptian religion and so forth. You know, I could show I'm gonna probably do some video history showing that the Assyrians were actually Hamites, and that they had the same kind of worship as the Egyptians did and so forth, because they was kindred and so forth. All right, Israelites, if you read the book of Hosea in 753 BCE, you will see, man, we was all messed up, man, before the leaders in the northern kingdom were destroyed, and then we will all go into Africa to do the Egyptian religion that's recorded in the book of Jeremiah and so forth. All right, shalom to the Israelite community, and I wish everybody well.